The bridge shuddered, then split with a groan that froze the air. From my vantage point on the ridge, I watched as Laura, the HOA president, shrieked, her designer heels skidding backward on the slick deck. The pristine footbridge, the HOA's crowning glory, crumpled into my creek like a scene from a disaster flick played in slow motion. The ribbon-cutting crowd gasped, phones already recording as the $250,000 vanity project sank into the mud Laura had sworn wasn't there. I leaned back, sipped my coffee, and let the chaos unfold. You're probably wondering how I turned a $250,000 bridge into a pile of rubble in broad daylight and walked away not just free, but victorious. Pull up a chair. This tale of land theft, federal court, and a touch of calculated sabotage is one for the books. It all began when I bought 3 acres of raw, untamed land just beyond the city limits, chasing the kind of peace you can feel in the morning mist and hear in the soft croak of frogs at dusk. My property was a slice of paradise, a mossy creek carving its western edge, ancient oaks standing guard along the ridge, and stubborn prairie grass I vowed never to tame. I'd escaped the HOA nightmares of suburbia, or so I thought. That dream lasted 6 weeks. Laura Bennett showed up on a Thursday, striding across my land like she owned it, her blonde bob gleaming under perched sunglasses. "You must be the new owner of Parcel 14B, she chirped, extending a manicured hand. "I'm Laura, president of Oakwood Meadows HOA, just across the creek." I nodded, already wishing I'd played deaf. She launched into a spiel about a charming footbridge her HOA was building over my creek to connect their cul-de-sacs. "Construction starts soon," she said, smiling like a car salesman. "It'll boost property values. You'll love it." I dropped my fence post. "Laura, that creek's on my land. Every inch." Her smile twitched. "Oh, there's a public access easement," she said, waving off my protest. "It's in our newsletter. All approved." I pointed out the easement was for utilities, not a parade path, but she just adjusted her sunglasses and promised it'd sort itself out. That night, I dug out my deed and plat map from 1973. The lines were clear. The creek and a 15-foot buffer were mine. No easement, no public access. But by morning, orange flags dotted my creek bank like a colonial land grab. I filmed everything: survey crews trespassing, pink paint splattered on my soil, workers hauling rebar and concrete. When I called out a worker for stepping on my land, he waved me off. The foreman handed me a blueprint labeled Oakwood Connector Bridge, approved weeks before I'd even closed on the property. They'd planned this all along, banking on my ignorance. I called the county, faxed my plat map, and scrawled, "No permission given. This is illegal." It didn't stop them. Concrete trucks rolled in, a porta potty sprouted under my oldest oak, and footings were poured into my bank. Laura's charm vanished. Her HOA bulletins turned venomous, accusing me of obstructing community progress. Neighbors who once waved now crossed the street to avoid me. Anonymous letters arrived, sharp scrawled notes calling me selfish, one with magazine clippings like a ransom note. "We'll build with or without you." I labeled each as evidence, my desktop swelling with files named Exhibit A. When my lawyer friend drafted a cease and desist, Laura's reply was a single line: "Your claims lack merit." I got quieter, smarter. My friend Tom, who owned a lot touching the HOA's edge, slipped into their meetings, recording Laura's smug admissions. "The owner's difficult, but will proceed under quiet title assumptions." Quiet title? They were betting I'd fold. They didn't know I had a stubborn streak and time to burn. I unearthed old surveys, found their easement was revoked in 1984, and logged every construction move: cheap sealant, misaligned beams, shoddy footers. I wasn't just stopping them. I wanted their bridge built, and built badly, so I could prove it was illegal, unsafe, and unpermitted. The war turned ugly. Orange violation notices bred on my gate. Uncut grass I'd mowed the day before. An aged fence, county approved. A mosquito breeding puddle from a leaky hose. I scanned each, adding them to my HOA harassment folder. Then I upped my game. Trail cams caught workers dumping concrete on my land. No permits in sight. They'd even rerouted my creek 4 feet west to stabilize their foundation, a Class C environmental infraction. I called the county's environmental office, and Agent Sarah Cole arrived, boots on, clipboard in hand. "No permits, no hydrology report," she said, tapping her pen. "They're screwed." I fired off another cease and desist, CCing the county clerk and zoning board. Laura added misinformation to the HOA agenda, but the bridge work sped up. They were racing to finish before the law caught up. So I changed tactics. I staked orange flags along my true boundary, reported daily trespassing to the sheriff, who called it a civil matter, and tipped off the local paper anonymously. Resident alleges HOA ignored codes. Laura panicked, but the tide was turning. A new neighbor, Mike, knocked on my door. Is it true they didn't get permission? He asked. I handed him my plat map and cease and desist. His eyes widened. They really did this. Word spread. The smears faded. Neighbors nodded again. Laura's bridge was becoming a liability. Then I found my weapon. I wasn't an engineer, but 30 years in construction taught me how things break. Inspecting the bridge in a vest and clipboard, I noted sloppy work, uneven gaps, reused plywood, a southern footing braced by a steel plate not rated for erosion. The creek's rerouting had washed out its base. I didn't need to destroy anything, just subtract. One night, gloved, I removed a single wooden wedge under a temporary brace, unrated and crumbling. I pocketed it and let nature take over. 6 days of relentless rain followed, seeping into the soil, eroding the footing. The HOA's glossy invite for the ribbon cutting arrived, promising cupcakes and community values. I set up a chair 20 yards from the bridge, thermos in hand. Laura, in a blazer, led the board. Greg, Lisa, and Paul onto the deck, giant scissors gleaming. Today, we cross into the future, she declared, snipping the ribbon. Cheers died as the southern end dipped. A crack echoed, then a wet crunch. The bridge lurched, dropping a foot. Laura flailed, mud streaking her blazer. A planter box splashed into the creek. Drone footage captured every second. The neighborhood chat exploded, memes of Laura slipping, Greg's fall caption, bridge too far. A new Facebook group, Oakwood's Epic Fails, hit 400 members overnight. The HOA's credibility tanked. Engineers deemed the bridge unsound within 48 hours. Best of all, they couldn't pin it on me. I hadn't touched the structure after construction. Rain, gravity, and their own arrogance did the rest. Then came the lawsuit. Laura, still muddy in spirit, sued me for sabotage, property damage, and malicious negligence. Her lawyer's gold-lettered accusations read like a bad novel. I countered with a thicker stack: trespass, defamation, fraud. My evidence was ironclad: 24 videos, drone shots, surveys, engineering reports, and damning HOA emails, one boasting, once it's built, he's got no leg to stand on. In court, my lawyer, Claire, played the collapse footage in glorious 1080p. The judge paused it. This is your land? He asked. I nodded, presenting my plat map. Laura's lawyer stammered about assumed easements. Claire smirked. Deeds trump assumptions. The email sealed it: Laura's orders to skip inspections and fudge maps projected like a guilty verdict. The judge's voice was ice. You acted recklessly, illegally, violating the defendant's rights. He awarded me damages, legal fees, and an injunction, then referred the case for criminal investigation. Laura's jaw dropped. Her lawyer wilted. The HOA board resigned, their newsletter died, and Laura sold her house to pay me. The bridge was dismantled, my creek restored. I hung a sign where the footing once stood: private property, structural integrity guaranteed. Now, when old board members pass, heads low, I raise my coffee and savor the peace no HOA can touch.